In this video, I want to walk you through the best laptops for graphic design, digital art, and photography. And this is not going to be a flashy motion graphic filled video. This is just going to be pure, raw, valuable information to help you make a buying decision. I've been doing this video for over 5 years now. I've been making this lineup video for graphic design, video editing, 3D modeling, and more. And by far, this video gets the most comments saying this has been the most valuable video to help me make a laptop purchasing decision. That's exactly why I'm making this video. And so we're going to dive in right now. I'm going to go over CPU, GPU, RAM, storage, color accuracy for the screen, what laptop I would personally recommend buying if I was going to put my money on the line this year, and also, are graphic processing units important for design or art or photography, or do you not need that? So we're going to cover all of that in this video, and we're also going to have a lineup of laptops, a number of laptops that I recommend, and it will help you ultimately make a buying decision. We're going to go from a budget-friendly laptop, the lowest budget I personally recommend, all the way up to high-end laptops, and talk about why these laptops are priced at such different price ranges. Now, if you're curious about the exact pricing and availability of any of these laptops as we're going through the video, you can head down in the description below and click those links. If you do make a purchase, I'll get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you. But of course, that's what keeps this channel alive and the helpful content coming your way. So I always, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate it so much when you guys use those links. It's the only way I can keep doing this and keep bringing you guys the valuable information that you need. All right, now first and foremost, let's dive into the lineup. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this lineup and I'm going to talk about RAM, storage, and the developments of the different things I've mentioned in the intro as I'm going through these laptops. Now, first and foremost, the most quote-unquote budget-friendly laptop that I personally recommend for graphic design would come in the HP OmniBook 5 or similar spec'd out laptop. As you can see, this comes with 16 gigs of RAM and the Ryzen 7 8840U. Now, if you're somebody who's looking for a bit more of a, lower price discounted laptop, if you can find something like a Ryzen 7 5700U or a 5800U. That's actually a few generations older now, but it would be 16 gigs of RAM would be my recommendation, paired with that Ryzen 7 57 or 5800U or 6800U. That would be a great starting point for a graphic design laptop. Now, keep in mind, one thing I want to point out on this laptop is that it has a 62.5% sRGB. Keep that in mind. You're going to want to keep an eye on those sRGBs and Adobe RGBs as we move through this video, which I will explain in just a moment. But the first thing I want to cover is RAM. In my opinion, the base place that you need to be for RAM as a graphic designer, digital artist, or photographer is 16 gigs of RAM. Programs are becoming more and more robust. They're consuming more of the system's memory. So RAM stands for random access memory. What it is it's the temporary memory that your system is using to open and close applications. So let's say you open Photoshop or Spotify or Google Chrome. You're going to pull from your computer's random access memory, or shorthand RAM or shorthand memory. There's a few different ways to refer to it. And so what you'll be doing is opening a program. Let's say you're opening Photoshop. You're going to use anywhere from, say, 2 to 5 gigs of RAM or beyond when you're running certain tasks inside of Photoshop. You open Google Chrome. Once again, you open it. You're going to be at about 1 gig of RAM, but then you start to add tabs to that Google Chrome, and you will end up at, say 2 to 5 plus gigs of RAM. Now, let's say you open Spotify, you're using more and more and more. I think you get the point. But you can quickly get up to 8 gigs of RAM, which will then bottleneck your system. In the past, 8 gigs worked because the programs were not as robust. They were becoming more robust. And so for me, 16 gigs of RAM is the starting point that I would highly recommend. Now, if you're somebody who wants hey, what's the best recommended? Ben, what do you think is the best recommended? I would definitely recommend 32 gigs of RAM as a sweet spot. And then if you're somebody who's not only doing maybe graphic design, digital art, and photography, but you're also going to be into video editing, I'd recommend 64 gigs of RAM. That'll give you plenty of ceiling. But again, that's working up towards the more expensive devices. I just wanted to get you a really nice, strong explanation of RAM, something brief, something tangible to help you make this decision. Now, although I use them in my daily workflow, one area that I've not covered in the past on these videos is external storage. And I have had a lot of viewers ask me about this. So I thought I'd include it fit in this year's lineup. Now, if you're looking for top speeds, I would highly recommend building your own M.2 NVMe drive within an enclosure. You'll get the fastest speeds and at the best price. Now, if you're looking for something more plug and play, ready to go off of the shelf, then a pre-built external SSD is a fantastic option. Now, I use both of them in my workflow. I film directly onto the pre-built SSD, and then I edit off of the faster DIY M.2 enclosure drive. Now, I want to give a huge shout out to Crucial for sponsoring this video. They've just released their P510 PCIe Gen 5 NVMe SSD. It reaches 10,000 megabytes per second read speeds. And those looking for a pre-built, Crucial offers their X10 Pro. Now, if you're curious about the exact pricing or you want to make a purchase, please use the links in the description below. Of course, if you do use those links, I'll get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you. But of course, that's what keeps this channel alive and the helpful content coming your way. Now, one more thing, if you're wondering if you should get a pre-built drive or build your own DIY enclosure, you should definitely check out my full video on the topic. I'll link it up at the end of this video. Now, the next thing I want to point out as we're moving through this first slide is the different RGB classification. So we have a 64% sRGB on the VivoBook 16, a 64% sRGB on the VivoBook S14, a 67 on the Lenovo Yoga 7i, getting a little bit better. And then we have a 99.1 DCI-P3 on the Apple MacBook Air M4 Now, sitting on this table right here is the Apple MacBook Air 15 M2. It's something I traditionally go to for my kind of on-the-go travel laptop. I've been thinking of replacing it with this laptop here, which may be my top pick of 2025, so I'm excited to reveal that later in the video. But anyway, this MacBook Air on my lineup is the first one that has a higher RGB. So let's go ahead and dive into color gamut range and color accuracy so you understand how to make the right purchasing decision. Okay, so the RGB range, so when somebody says color gamut range, actually let me kind of re-say that. The color gamut range in general, because there's DCI-P3, there's sRGB, there's Adobe RGB, there's a few different ones. There's even Rec 709 for video, but that getting a little more complicated. But the gamut range is the range of colors, the size of the range of colors that your screen is able to reproduce. So sRGB would be the smallest, followed up by, DCI-P3 and Adobe. And the thing with the difference between DCI-P3 and Adobe is they have about the same amount. They just kind of tilt differently. And I'll show an image up on the screen for you. They kind of tilt differently in the exact colors that they're more able to reproduce, but the amount is very similar. They just kind of tilt differently. Now, the delta E is the accuracy at which those colors are reproduced. So anything below 2 is good. Anything below 1, delta E is very good. Now, I don't have the delta E's listed on the slides because traditionally that's something that I have to dig up during my own tests. They don't just broadcast that openly because screen to screen calibrations from the factory tend to change that a little bit. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's keep scrolling through these first few laptops now that I've explained a few of the specs that I really want you guys to be tuned in on, because ultimately I want you to know how to make the right purchasing decision for your needs, not just take my recommendations. Okay, so the next one we have is the VivoBook 16. I think this is a great bang for buck. You're going to have 16 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte SSD, and the Ryzen 7 7730HS. Great CPU, make a great graphic design, digital art, or a photography laptop. Now, one of my personal favorites is the Lenovo Yoga 7i. Year over year, this has been my top kind of pseudo premium yet budget-friendly laptop that I highly recommend. It's got great build quality. It's very thin and light, on-the-go friendly. It has great performance. So it's one of the top recommendeds that I have year over year. Now, lastly would be the Apple MacBook Air M4 15-inch model. Now, I actually have the M2 model sitting before me, and I think it is a fantastic laptop. However, I purchased it with 8 gigs of RAM, and if I was moving ahead in the future, I would absolutely buy this with 24 gigs of RAM, because when I purchased it, I spent about $1,600 with tax for 8 gigs of RAM with an M2 processor. You can now get on sale with a member discount from Best Buy. You can get the 24 gig version, which I'll have listed in the links in the description below if you want to check the live pricing. And if you are a Best Buy member, you can get it for like $1,450. Now, after tax, that's probably going to end up being about, 15 and some change, but that is insane. It's going to have amazing performance. I can edit 6K video on this laptop. So that would be a top recommendation if you are a Mac OS fan, if you're willing to do Mac OS. I know a lot of people who watch my channel are either, Mac OS fanboys or Windows fanboys. I am completely neutral. I use an MSI Titan to run my full desk system here. But then I also like to take Mac on the go. I'm constantly jumping between operating systems. I am operating system computer neutral when it comes to stuff like this. Okay, the next thing we're going to roll into now is the mid-range price point graphic design laptops. We're going to look at the HP Envy 16 and 14. These are great devices, pen compatibility. This is one of the first devices on the lineup with pen compatibility, just making sure I'm true in saying that. Yes, I am. And so if you're looking for a laptop that is pen compatible, this would definitely be a great fit for you. Not too steep in the budget. Going to range on sale from about $900 up to about $1,400 to $1,600, depending on the model you're looking for. But really the sweet spot for me is the Intel Core Ultra 7 155H and 16 to 32 gigs of RAM. Again, you're trying to tweak your budget just right to find out what works best for you. Okay, by far, one of my favorite laptops year over year. If you're somebody who likes to game, but you also want a laptop that'll be good for design and have really strong color accuracy, this laptop here is the Lenovo Legion Slim 5 14-inch model, nearly discontinued. This is actually from 2020, if I'm not mistaken, 2023. And they just have not brought it back. And it blows my mind because it is hands down one of my favorite gaming laptops. Slim form factor, great color accuracy, killer performance, and all. Usually you can find them on an open box for around $1,000. Insane. Now, you're not going to have the most color accurate screen. So this wouldn't be somebody who wants to have like super pro professional color grading on their laptop, but it is a great one. And I wasn't even showing it to you this whole time. Here it is. I have it here on my desk. So rah. There it is. It is an incredible laptop. Now, the next thing that I want to jump into is the first very color accurate laptop, and that is the Asus VivoBook S14 and 16 OLED. Now, this is actually like the younger brother of the ZenBook. Okay, so this is the ZenBook OLED I have here. And the VivoBook is like the younger brother, a little bit thicker version, but the OLED provides you with that 100% sRGB and 100% DCI-P3 color accuracy that you're looking for as a designer, a photographer, or a digital artist. So if you're looking for something more entry level, but still want amazing color accuracy and a good price point, then you definitely want to check out the VivoBook S14 and S16 OLED. If you're somebody who wants to kind of up your game with like quality, thin and light on the go, and I don't mean that the VivoBook is necessarily lower quality. I'm just saying this is a step up. This is like the big brother that, just meets a bit more premium. Definitely want to consider between, the ZenBook and the VivoBook, though they're both great price points. It's really amazing how good the price points are on each of those. Okay, the next thing I want to take a look at is the Dell Inspiron 16 2-in-1. Now, this also comes in a 14-inch model, and I actually think I listed the 14-inch model below because I prefer it because it's like so on-the-go friendly, but aluminum build quality from the model that I have tested, like a thick chassis, which I really enjoyed, great pen sensitivity. It was one of the best pen to screen sensitivities that I had tested last year, and rolling into this year, it's incredible. Still such a great device. Good price point, a little bit more expensive on like the premium side. Dell tends to be a bit more expensive, but overall a fantastic device that I would highly recommend. So you can see the Dell Inspiron 16 2-in-1 or the 14-inch model. Again, links are in the description below. Now, the next laptop I'm going to discuss, along with the Lenovo Yoga. The next laptop I'm going to discuss along with the Lenovo Legion Slim 5 14 is going to be the Lenovo Yoga Pro 9i. And I also want to make mention of the Lenovo Legion Pro 5. Okay, so let's kind of wrap all this in a bow because the question I want to answer before talking about the Yoga Pro 9i is the GPU question. So GPU stands for Graphics Processing Unit, and a lot of designers A lot of photographers are like, okay, I'm working with graphics. Do I need a graphics processing unit for my computer to be really effective for my use? And the short and sweet answer is no, you don't need one. The long been professional, I've been doing this for 7 years and have a master's degree in graphic design, and now I have this big YouTube channel and yada yada, is you probably should consider one if. Okay. Now you should probably consider one if you're going to be running multiple monitors. I mean more than one. So if you're running 2 to 3 monitors, you have to consider that the GPU is really a big element in running screens, external displays smoothly while still providing great performance for your system. Okay. Do you need it if you're just working on your singular laptop inside of Photoshop or inside of, Adobe Illustrator or Adobe InDesign? No. But as soon as you add those extra monitors, you're then making the CPU do all the work if you don't have a dedicated GPU, therefore slowing down your system. Now, if you're somebody who's going to get into video editing, 3D modeling, motion design, definitely recommend a graphics processing unit. And for me personally, I recommend a RTX 4060. That's right. I know 50 series came out, but I recommend an RTX 4060 or above, because a little, spoiler alert, 50 series is only about 7 to get my numbers straight here, 7 to 15% better. At max, at absolute max, I saw a 21% increase in performance in, I believe it was Autodesk Maya, going from, it was a Zephyrus to like the Strix Scar. So completely different models. There was like this big jump in performance, but overall an average of 7 to 15% jump in performance on average. And so for me, 40 series is still fully on the table. Go ahead, grab a 2024 model on a deal. I highly recommend it. I have 40 series models listed below. This Lenovo Yoga Pro 9i is technically a 40 series, comes in a 4050 or a 4060. I personally recommend the 4060 because you get the mini LED display, which is far more color accurate and higher resolution. Okay, now the last caveat I want to make note of, because more and more people are getting on board with using AI tools, and I don't mean this to be gimmicky. Truly, AI tools are very powerful in our workflow, and specifically it's things like AI denoise. Okay, so if you're going to be using a lot of AI tools, then a dedicated GPU would be very helpful, because it is the GPU is able to do a lot of those processes. Now, I know that Intel and AMD are going to be talking about all their new NPUs and how they're so fast, but really when it comes down to it, GPUs are still to this day the more powerful element, the more powerful component, even in a lot of these AI computing tasks. So for instance, as an example, I see on average about a 17-second AI denoise for a photo for a laptop without a dedicated GPU and just an NPU. Whereas an AI denoise with a dedicated GPU, like an RTX 4070, 4080, or even the new 5070 or 5080 is going to take about, 3 to 7 seconds. So not like you're going to be waiting around all day comparatively, but if you're constantly doing those tasks, that time can add up. And so something to definitely be considerate of. Okay, so now the Lenovo Legion Pro 5, the Lenovo Legion Slim 5, and the Lenovo Yoga Pro 9i are great laptops with dedicated GPUs, and they have good color accurate screens. Specifically, the Legions are going to have those 100% sRGB, whereas the Yoga 9i, because of the mini LED, is going to have 100% DCI-P3 color accuracy and probably like 97 to 98% Adobe RGB color accuracy to my memory. It's been a while since I've actually looked at that specific device spec sheet, but great laptop, the Lenovo Yoga Pro 9i. Okay, the next thing is if you want to take things up a step a little bit from the previous slide, you can see we had the HP Envy over here. And then also we switch over and now it's the HP Spectre. So the HP Spectre is basically the little bit more premium version of the HP Envy 2-in-1. So if you're looking for something a little fancier, a little bit more refined, that will be a great choice for you. It tends to have higher quality build materials, but it's going to be about the same performance, to be totally honest. So, but I will mention one thing. You're going to most likely be able to get a higher quality screen So you can get that higher 100% DCI-P3 color accuracy. But again, you want to make sure that you're doing your own due diligence on this. I've listed links in the description below, but I would still, when you click that link, like browse through the details, grab the model number, like cross-reference like the important details that you're looking to accomplish. Like, hey, this model number with this screen ID, does that mean it has the OLED display, or does that mean it's, color accurate to 100% DCI-P3, or is it only, 64% DCI-P3, or NTCH or whatever. So that's where you really want to like dive deep and do your little bit due diligence. But you're looking for, good color accuracy is going to be that sRGB, great color accuracy is going to be DCI-P3, or, oh man, I did the cardinal sin of mixing those words. See, color accuracy is delta E, color gamut range. So you want to have the better color gamut range of, DCI-P3 as compared to the more basic color gamut range, smaller color gamut range of sRGB. So I really hope this is clicking with you. I really want you to be fully educated when you go and make a buying decision. That's why this isn't about flash or hype. It's about getting you the details that you need. All right, jumping back over, looking now at the Asus ZenBook Duo. This would be the only two-in-one. This would be the only dual screen laptop I would personally buy with my own money. I've tested Lenovo's Yoga Book, and it just is not powerful enough. It's underpowered with, I believe, the Intel Core Ultra 7 155H. The Intel Core Ultra 9 285H is the newest edition. I would definitely purchase the newest edition. This is not an area where I would say, yeah, go for last year's model. I would go for the newest edition because even last year's 185H, though I did say that that was the better of the two, this step up in performance will be even better than the 185H. I'd make sure you get it with 32 gigs of RAM. And the pricing isn't that different between 2024 model and the newest 2025 refresh with the new CPU. So definitely consider that, and it's going to have the performance you need. The only thing that I think, excuse me for my nut crack, the only thing that I think is a downside for this is going to be that it doesn't have a dedicated GPU. I really think that this laptop could highly benefit from a dedicated GPU because it has the dual screens, right? And the dual screens are being run by the Intel Arc graphics and the dedicated internal integrated graphics inside of the CPU. And so that's pulling some of the performance capabilities that could be used for you running tasks, but instead to run the dual screens. I digress, but I believe that, I hope that makes sense for you. Okay, the next thing would be the Samsung Galaxy Book 5 360 and the Pro 360. I have a bit of a typo here. I should have had Pro, the Book 5 Pro 360 and the Book 5 360, but that was a bit of a typo. So in a nutshell, the Book 5 360 and the Book 5 Pro 360 are very similar. They're like so similar that it kind of kills me. Like personally, if I were going to make the purchase, I'd probably just go for the standard 360 as long as I could get at least 16 gigs of RAM. And I believe that there's a Pro 360 that's even upgradable from the Samsung website, not post-purchase upgradable. You can't like take off the bottom cover and upgrade the laptop later, but you can upgrade it while you purchase it from the Samsung website to 32 gigs of RAM. And that would definitely be a recommendation from me to you if you're going to be buying this laptop. Now, great color accuracy, fantastic screen. To me, these are like the MacBook Pros of the Windows world. They're awesome devices. And if you're a big Samsung fan, you're into the Samsung ecosystem, which is fantastic. Now, pen capable, both the 360 and the Pro 360. But just the Book 5 Pro is not pen compatible. But if you're not looking for pen compatibility, might be an option to you. So just keep that in mind. Okay, next, the Microsoft Surface Pro 11. This device is one of the best experiences for on-the-go digital artists. Now, my big disgruntled feelings towards this device is that it's a Snapdragon. And the problem with Snapdragon is we're still waiting on silicone that is native. We're still waiting for ARM-based native applications. Everything is still, not everything, gosh, being so dramatic. Most of the apps, specifically the creator apps, are still not native on ARM-based chips. So basically you take x86 applications, which are running on Windows, and then you run them through an emulation, and then they can run on a ARM-based computer like a Qualcomm. Now, Apple ARM-based and Windows ARM-based are two totally different things. Most apps for creators are native on Mac ARM chips now, or Apple ARM. And so that's not an issue. Apple's fully made that transition with a lot of the app developers. That's no longer an issue, but we're still facing the issue with Windows ARM-based devices. And as incredible as this Microsoft Surface Pro 11 is, amazing pen compatibility, love the functionality and the form factor, it's just such a great device. We're still struggling because we don't have ARM-based applications. So you're only getting partial performance because it's going through an emulation. So just keep that caveat, keep aware of that. It is a great device, but it isn't going to perform as well as it could when we one day get native ARM Windows applications. Okay, the next thing to look at is going to be the HP EliteBook X G1A, a fantastic laptop. I've been reviewing this in my studio, and it's got some of the best performance if you're considering a mid to upper tier premium laptop. If you're going to go for either Intel or AMD, AMD is really leading the pack right now in performance. So definitely something to consider. I would personally, that price is wrong. Oh crap, that's my mistake. That price is wrong. I think this laptop is actually around $1,800. So just keep that in mind, anywhere from $1,500 to $1,800 depending on how you spec it out. But it is a more expensive premium laptop, but it is a great buy, and that processor is stellar. Really, really like that CPU setup. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is the Asus ProArt lineup, the PX13 and the P16. Now, what's crazy about these two devices is they both perform very well. I honestly think if I were going to buy one of these, I've said this in videos in the past, I would go for the PX13. It's just more on-the-go friendly. The form factor is really nice. I just really appreciated the size. Now, the P16, if this is going to be like your main everyday device, I would go for the P16. But for me, I usually only take laptops on the go with me. So I like, more of a smaller form factor. If I'm at my desk, I've got my screens, I've got my big laptop here. So it's kind of like, I like that flexibility of a smaller laptop when I have a big desktop laptop at home. My MSI Titan 18 is a massive laptop. So there's a few caveats here though. I don't think the dial being on the trackpad was the best move. I've said that. I've been very open with that I think as a physical dial, it was much better. But the touch compatibility is great, both on the P16 and the PX13. Performance is amazing. You're not going to be disappointed in the color gamut range and color accuracy on both of the laptops. P16 is 4K, PX13 is 3K, is great. And so the quality of those devices is really stellar. Okay, the next thing we're going to take a look at here is the Lenovo Yoga Slim 9i. This is the newest version of the Lenovo Yoga, and specifically 9i, and man, this is a great device. If you're looking for a more premium version of the 7i, which is I talked about earlier being one of my favorite devices to recommend, this is like taking it to the next level. It's going to have superior color gamut range and color accuracy to the 7i, because you're going to be paying that extra money. I believe it even comes in a 4K screen, and it's going to have great performance with the latest 285V and 32 gigs of RAM. This is a well-built, well-optimized, with great performance laptop. Hands down, this would be one of my top picks. If I was looking for a Windows laptop and had the budget to pull the trigger on this one, it's about $2,000. So it's a little bit, definitely more expensive laptop, but it is a great device. So as we kind of ascend the expense pyramid, you can see what's happening is the devices are either getting a little bit thinner and getting better build materials and or getting more performance. On top of that, they might be getting more color accurate screens. But overall, I tried to have like a really fair lineup all the way through. So if you were to buy the entry level, you're still going to have a great design and performance laptop. Because I don't want to recommend a laptop that I would not personally use. And so everything on this lineup I would use. Yes, it might be out of somebody's budget. And that's where I made that recommendation in the beginning of the video to maybe go for a couple-year-old laptop. And I made a recommendation of my favorite few-year-old CPU setup and RAM setup that I would recommend. But again, all these laptops I would absolutely buy with my own money. Otherwise, I don't put them on this list. In years past, I put all kinds of different laptops on the list with the specs that made sense, but not necessarily laptops that I would personally buy. Because people were like, well, what about this laptop? What about that laptop? After I would release a video. And I'd be like, well, yeah, it's a good one, but I didn't put it on my list because I wouldn't buy it. And so I started adding more laptops to the list to kind of avoid those questions and get people's questions answered. But then I realized like, I don't really stand behind these that are on the list. And so I've now gone back to only putting the ones that I would absolutely buy with my own money on the list. So I hope that answers your question. So if you're wondering, would I buy that laptop? Is it a good one too? No, I wouldn't. That's why it's not on my list. Okay. So you can ask and maybe somebody else in the comments will answer, but I won't because otherwise it'd be on my list. There's that. Okay. Next is the HP Omen trend. And that's not like saying like a laptop's going to come out and be like, oh man, I should have added that one. Yeah, maybe that'll happen. But as the ones that are available right now, that's how I feel. Okay. Next up is the HP Omen Transcend 14. This is actually $2,039. This is instead of $1,999. But you get the Intel Core Ultra 285H and the RTX 5070 and 32 gigs of RAM. And because it's an OLED display, highly color accurate, 100% DCI-P3 OLED. So that is killer. Now, without a doubt, one of the best laptops on this lineup, excluding this secret laptop that I think is the best one of 2025, is going to be the Asus, sorry if that was loud in your ears, ROG Z13. Now, the biggest beef I have with this laptop is that it is a tablet form factor. So, it's a tablet. But this comes with the latest AMD Ryzen AI Max Plus 395 chipset. This integrated graphics, the Radeon 8060S, or the Strix Halo, as the street term, I guess, goes, is as powerful as an RTX 4070 at around 75 to 100 watts. Pretty crazy. So the fact that this thin and light laptop can be as powerful as a lot of 3D modeling and video editing laptops from last year that were like full-on gaming laptops with dedicated GPUs and thick, chunky chassis is amazing. So it's an expensive laptop, ranging anywhere from about $2,300 to $2,700 and beyond. Actually, I think $2,700 is the max because I was just putting the spec in. That's the 128 gig version, 128 gigs of RAM. Insane. Honestly, I think most people can get away with the 64 gig version, which is a much better price point. But I wouldn't choose the 32 gig version because for an extra $100 on most websites that I've done my research on, you can go from 32 gigs to 64 gigs. You might as well get the 64 gigs. You're not going to be disappointed. Okay, the next thing I want to look at is the HP ZBook Ultra G1A. Okay, that's the last one on this list. I'm jumping to the last one because it has the same chipset as the Z13, okay? So the last one in the lineup here. I'm going to circle it. Hopefully that'll show up on the screen share. Okay, this is it right here. This is the clamshell laptop version of the chipset that is featured in this laptop. So you can get up to 128 gigs of RAM. You can get that Radeon 8060S integrated graphics, which is as powerful as a dedicated GPU. And it's all in a fantastic tablet form factor. Aluminum design, upward-facing speakers, nice large physical glass trackpad. I'm not yet fully jumped into the haptic trackpad camp for every laptop. I have the haptics that I like. I've seen a lot of Windows laptops where I'm like, this haptic sucks. And so that this has a manual trackpad, I think for designers, digital artists and photographers, it's very helpful because then you don't have to worry like, oh, is the trackpad going to be good? It's physical. Just keep it simple, stupid. And so then we have a great keyboard deck and all that's awesome. Upward facing speakers. But what makes this laptop incredible is the amount of performance that's packed into such a thin and light on-the-go friendly package. Great battery life, great form factor, 14-inch device. But I will say these are really expensive and they come in a bunch of different configurations. There's, the AI Max 380, the AI Max 375, the AI Max 390. The one that I would personally aim for if I were you, because I haven't been able to test the other SKUs yet. I've only been able to test the AI Max Plus 395. I'd personally try and find the AI Max Plus 395 on sale. And when I last looked, it was half off on HP's website. And the reason I put that in quotes is this is like a $6,000 laptop, but they had it half off for $3,000. So to me, the true value of this laptop is around $3,000 to $3,800, give or take, because why would you put a laptop half off? That just seems insane. It's kind of like telling. Anyway, this is the laptop that if I wanted an on-the-go laptop this year, this is the laptop that makes the most sense. Now, it is one of the most expensive laptops on this lineup, but it is absolutely incredible. And I haven't even done my full review yet. I'm like really waiting to get all my thoughts around it before I do my full review, but there's my thoughts so far in this lineup video. Next up is the HP Omen Max 16. Great device. The only gripe I have about this device is it is Thunderbolt 4. Why would you do Thunderbolt 4 when Thunderbolt 5 is available, HP? You dropped the half-ton gorilla on the floor. It's an Intel laptop, and you gave it Thunderbolt 4, and it's the latest and the greatest with the RTX 5090. I don't know, doesn't make sense, but that's what they did. But that's a great device, really powerful. Next would be the Asus Republic of Gamer Zephyrus G14 and the G16. So the interesting thing is that the G16 is found in Intel this year, and the G14 is found in Ryzen this year. So I think the Ultra 9 285H is for the G16, and then the G14 comes in the AI9 HX370. Both are great. I think I would personally lean towards the 14 because I like the form factor, and I think it would have great performance. Your choice is yours. Great color accuracy because the OLED displays on both the HP Omen Max we just talked about and for these Zephyrus G14 and G16, solid. Okay, if you're wanting to go like all out and get like the best, I put in air quotes, we do have the MacBook Pro 16 and 14 in both M4 Pro and M4 Max. To be honest, I think they're overkill. I think the Air of both the 13-inch and the 15-inch right here for the MacBook Air is plenty for graphic designers, especially if you get 24 gigs of RAM, it's going to be plenty of performance. Now, there's a caveat to that. If you're somebody doing video editing or motion design, or you are using a architecture or 3D modeling program that is for Apple Silicon, then I would consider the Pro, M4 Pro or the M4 Max. But as a whole, most designers, most photographers, if you're getting the 24 gig RAM version of the MacBook Air 13 or the MacBook Air 15, is going to be plenty of performance and it's going to save you $1,000 or more. So that would be my recommendation. Like I said, I would even rebuy this laptop right now with 24 gigs of RAM and be able to edit 6K footage on it. 6K video editing, 6K resolution, right? That's insane on this little thin and light laptop. So in my opinion, that's the best sweet spot, the best bang for buck. But some of you are going to totally ignore me and be like, no, Ben, I want a Pro because I'm a pro. And Airs don't create pros. Airs are for lame college students. And I'm a pro, so I need to have a Pro. Pro, yo. And you're just going to buy it because you think you need it, but you don't. Suit yourself. Okay, the next thing is the Microsoft Surface Laptop Studio 2. Now, everybody's waiting around for the Studio 3, but it's yet to be launched. So for now, we still have the Studio 2. If you can find the configuration you're looking for, there is a number of configurations. There's the RTX A2000, which would be great for 3D modeling programs, motion design programs, and then there's the 4050 and the 4060 version. This is one of the top tier artist laptops because the pen sensitivity is on par or better than the Microsoft Surface Pro 11, which to me is one of the best pen experiences on the market. And so if you're somebody who really is highly focused on digital art or retouching photography, this is hands down one of the best devices that money can buy. So definitely something to consider. Don't forget that you can click or tap the links in the description below if you want to check the live pricing or make a purchase of any of the devices or the gear you've seen in this video. Also, if you want to check out live, if you want to check out the full reviews of any of these laptops, I have full reviews of tons of different laptops on my channel if you want to dive deeper and get my deeper perspective on them. Happy to see you over at those videos. You can click or tap the screen here. Y'all have a great day.